I think just the journey, I think, is so important because hey, we never realized that we're actually living the things that we were praying for a long time ago.
Hello and welcome to the Creative Experience. Today we're here with,
Leah Isom.
tell us a little bit about yourself and why we should know you.
Yeah, I am a fashion-based e-com photographer. I really enjoy shooting editorial as well for my personal passion projects, but I enjoy shooting streetwear, any kind of brand work. That's my avenue.
Okay, I like it. So how'd you start your artistic journey?
I think it was about 5 years ago. I was in my room and I was practicing acting in a way. I think it was like Wizards of Waverly Place or something crazy, something Disney related. I know for a fact. And my dad, he kind of just gave me a camera and pushed me in that direction. So I was just taking photos of just landscape, let's say, because you know the little Google Chromecast a long time ago and how they would just show images every day. That's something that I was just like, I want my stuff to be on there so bad. And lo and behold, never got on there. But
It's all right.
I translated to on model, and I just think that's so much better. I love working with people, and it's exhilarating, I think, to say the least.
Okay. So what do you think, what would be your favorite aspect of working in photography?
I think I never want to say like the outcome, but I think just the journey, I think, is so important because hey, we never realized that we're actually living the things that we were praying for a long time ago.
Exactly.
And so I always think about that in the back of my mind where I'm like, okay, God, like, we're really out here doing this. Like, you trust me with this. And that's so important to me. And so, praise to the Most High. That's like the biggest honor is that I'm able to do this and succeed in it as well. So.
Okay, I like that. You're coming up as an artist, as you're coming up still, who do you look for inspiration and how do you gain inspiration?
Ooh. So in the beginning, I really enjoyed Obi's Lens, which I don't know if you heard him before. He was based in Dallas a little while ago, and then he just was on the come up from that point forward. He's no longer called Obi's Lens, but it's like Obi Zarabi. I'm butchering his name, by the way. It's probably gonna be like right here. Sorry, you're not paying.
It's okay. I got you.
Here's the tag right here. His work, the way that he positioned the models, it was so colorful. Number one, which is where I get a lot of my inspiration from, like my color palettes that I kind of keep, where it's super pop. My blacks are black, and it's just so like in your face per se. And then later on over time, I think like, who would I say was like another big influence for me? Goodness. A lot of movies and everything too, like Star Wars and everything. It was just always something new and something different just coming out. And I don't know, it just inspired me from that point forward where I'm like, these people are creating such good stuff that lasts forever. And so how can I make my mark on this planet in some form of way without harming it, right? Okay. So that was my big kind of come up. Obi, he's amazing. I still look at him to this day, and he's just killing it. If I could meet him again and have a conversation with him, like, hit me up. But yeah, that's where I draw my inspiration from a lot. He's just amazing.
Okay. So why e-commerce specifically?
Ooh, it makes money. No, it does. But I also get to combine it's not traditional e-commerce, I would say. I think it's a lot more creative based where it's not just, how would I describe what I'm aiming for in life? Do you know Aim Leon Dore?
I haven't heard of.
They're like a New York based brand, and they do a lot of their stuff. A lot of their e-commerce is having their model in an environment. So whether it's an Italian based environment with a lot of chairs and their model just sitting on a chair just like this and just kind of posing. I just think that is so fire. It's like Kith. It's like, is it Kith?
Yeah, I think so.
Kith. It's like About Blank. All of those brands are just so, whenever they have like their stationary center grid posing and you just see the clothing, but you see it put into an environment, is something that I'm gunning for. That's just so cool. I think I just spilled all my secrets, but it's all good.
It's all right. It's all right. Because like we were saying before, nobody's going to do it like you at the end of the day.
Yes.
So it's like free game. It's just free game.
Free game is free game.
So like moving forward, what's your ideal career path? Like who would you want to work with? And like, I know you named those brands, but like, who else would you be like, this is perfect. This is ideal.
You know, funny enough, I'm also like a product photographer on the side. And so as I was kind of going through and like looking through different brands, Sneaker Politics really stuck out to me. A lot of their stuff isn't typically on model. It's usually just like the sneaker itself in an environment per se. So it's like that repetitory, like putting it in different environments, whether it's like using different props like ropes and like a tanner beige, like what's it called? Ones or something, where you just put it in an environment. But their color palette is just extensive. There's no limit to what they do with their shoes. So it's not just Nike and how they kind of present their stuff, right? I would say Nike does a lot of like white backdrop and everything for most of their stuff, which is fine, right? That's where I kind of gravitate towards too. I'm not closed off to it. But what Sneaker Politics does, as I was kind of scrolling through their page and their website, a lot of this stuff is put in an environment, and it's always going to be something different, whether it's wired up, you know, or, I mean, just set down in like a place or just in different props or just something that matches the shoe. It depends on what palette they're going for, but there's really no like limit to where they show off their shoes.
Exactly.
So if I had to like choose, I mean, Sneaker Politics is just, they're fire. I think they're also community based too, which I enjoy. So
yeah, because they were big in New Orleans. Because I went to school in New Orleans, so they were big in New Orleans, and then they're also big here. So it's like I saw how they operate in both ways, and I'm like, and I loved it both ways. So I'm like, I also agree with you. I would love to work for Sneaker Politics. So like, hey, it's Sneaker Politics.
no, really.
Okay, I like that. I like how you like. You want to keep your, like, you have an idea that you're going for and you want to keep going that way. Like, it's really good to have, like, those goals in mind. And it's like you have very, like, distinct goals that I hear. So, all right. So, like, what has been your favorite project you've worked on so far?
Ooh, the one that's out right now is called Abrasive Thinking. And that's the one that people have been kind of saying a lot, and the ones I was able to kind of print out. That one was really personal to me. And a lot of people tend to go through that kind of situation. And then I guess I'll explain it because that would make more sense. Abrasive Thinking was a passion project I did to kind of emulate, not really emulate or dramatize, just more so put a visual on how it feels to be around an abrasive person. And abrasive is just kind of like by force, right? That's the definition of it, I believe. Definition right here. It's by force, right? Abrasive thinking, I combined it with abrasive by force and thinking. And so what it was is, man, it's so tough. It's a little, So what it was, it's basically, I wouldn't say verbal abuse, but it's just kind of like someone who's trying to force their ideas onto you. And so, you know, kind of growing up, I didn't really have too much room to think outside of the box per se whenever it came to my own ideas and opinions. And of course, my parents and I have a great relationship now, but it took work to get there. And so before, it was just super hard to even like voice my opinions and everything. And man, I think it took a lot of confidence to get to where I am now, especially being able to sit here and speak with you, because I was just introverted and quiet and just, But more specifically to that project, it was split into 3 phases. I think it was realization, harmony, and God, I have the third one. It's on my dome, but it'll be right here too. And so over time, we just see different pieces of just emotion is what I really wanted to emulate. Some of the color is just meant to kind of signify like it's meant to be a little more dramatized in a way, to where it's like it emphasizes your facial expressions. So if you're sad, like we have eyeshadow just here, and it just looks kind of like depressing in a way, emulating bags, and it's just you're kind of exhausted and tired. That'll like hearing those ideas kind of being pushed on you, but just over time, it's kind of hard, especially if it's a family member, to deal with that family member and just, you don't want to give up on one another. And you know that if that family member has like good intentions, but you can't see it, and y'all are clashing, and it's hard, and it's like, it can be a bit abrasive, right? And so throughout those 3 phases and those 3 posts, we start to see it get better, which is good because that's what happened to me. And so in the beginning, there's a lot of force and tugging with like the fabrics and everything. And the fabrics is like tugging on your mind, where it's like wrapped around your head and stuff. And just, it's all kind of like, what is the word? Satire. But eventually you do see in the middle where you realize that you're trying to get out of it. I'm growing up, I'm having my own ideas, and I'm realizing that I can think outside of just my parents maybe, or I can think outside of just everyone else that's around me, and I'm my own person, right? And so, you start to remove all those things that were put on you as you were kind of growing up in a way. And the removing of like the cloth is kind of resembling that. And so then in the 3rd portion, you're finally free, or you figure out a way to kind of like coexist with that person again. And so that's where harmony kind of comes into play, where it's like you finally found a middle ground with that person. So now you guys there's a lot of positions where it's like you're, cohesive with one another. You figured something out, you tolerate each other, maybe that's sometimes the outcome, but you just come to a point of peace, and maybe you'll revisit it later, right? But eventually you get to the conclusion, and eventually you get to grow and flourish with one another, So it's a lot, but that was like the breakout for me. And I was like, dude, this is just, it hits home.
I love how much depth it has to it. Like,
man, it's just, there's so many things that of course we go through in life, right? And of course, thank you, Lord, that he kind of delivered me from a lot of stuff. But just at the end of the day, like, so many things I do want to highlight in my work. Because, like, you never know who's going through what. And so I had a lot of people reach out to me, kind of like, dang, this is kind of like hitting home for me. I was like, didn't you too? And people just came out the woodwork. So, man, the next one is kind of similar to that as well, which should be released too after this. It's called Life of Dawn. So that's also kind of close and personal to me. It's not econ, but it's also another passion project that I think is just, it hits home.
Okay. I like that, and I'm excited to see what you can bring. So if you would like to leave our people with some closing statements, what would they be?
Man, I say don't ever give up. And I know that's very cliche, but it's coming from a person who was this close to giving up on life and didn't. And then I found God too. So on top of that, it kind of just amplified my life. So just keep pushing, keep fighting, and see that thing through, whether it's like financially or just in your everyday life or just your personal life, where you're figuring out like who you are as a person, or just trying to figure out your own ideas as you're kind of like growing into adulthood. So, man, I say just keep fighting. That's it.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for watching The Creative Experience.